Cobra Kai Season 2. Liz and I just finished it up in time for it to be announced that Season 3 is actually going to come out even sooner than it was supposed to, like right at the start of January. So that timing worked out well. I enjoyed the first season pretty well, and I had a similar level of enjoyment for the second season. I appreciate the callback to the original, speaking as someone who grew up on not only the first movie, but the first two. And as such, I actually appreciated how much this second season took from that second movie in terms of the way things escalated as well as some of the specific beats. We got direct callbacks to some of the techniques that Miyagi taught Daniel in the second film. We have repeats of beats like the dojo being destroyed and the escalation of climaxing the first one with a tournament and climaxing the second one with a real fight that no one is going to just come in and stop if it goes bad. So I appreciated all that. It's got basically the same niggles that I had before, which is, the degree to which Johnny doesn't get how the world of today works and is stuck in the 80s is a little overdone. I feel like they've dialed that back a bit in the second season. So that helped. That's actually a little softer. Actually, I think Johnny had the best work done with his character this season. I've actually genuinely enjoyed watching him grow, watching him start to better understand his failings, his mistakes, and that he is at risk of starting to repeat them. I'm really enjoying watching him get better. Slowly, gradually, stumbling along the way. I actually really, really enjoy that because I feel like way too often when narratives try and do somebody who used to be a bad person trying to be better usually happens in one of two ways. It either happens way too quick or it's played as, well, they're never actually going to get better. Whereas the reality, at least in my experience, is most people who genuinely want to get better can, but it takes time, it takes work, it is gradual as hell as you unlearn the ways that you were looking at the world and dealing with things that were causing you problems before. So I am appreciating how gradual his evolution is, but I can still see that he is evolving. He is getting better. Part of that plays into Kreese coming back, which was pretty well done. What I really appreciated is I appreciated that Johnny, while he was willing to give him a chance, which totally makes sense for Johnny, because Johnny's currently riding on a second chance that he basically created for himself, that someone like him would be willing to try and extend a second chance to someone like Kreese, but that he's not so blind as to miss what Kreese is doing and eventually boots him out. Now, I still called that Kreese was going to ultimately end up with Johnny's more volatile students, and in this case, the majority of the students. We had Tori introduced, who I don't really care for. I mean, she was her very introduction was so obviously, they need a rival for Sam, which, I don't know if they're just not comfortable with a girl fighting boys, because she could hand most of the male characters their butt. I don't think they needed to come up with another girl for her to fight, and at this point I find Tori very undercooked and pretty one-dimensional as a character. And she's not 100% flat, and the actress isn't bad, but like it's one of those character introductions where it's so clear to me why they're there in terms of narrative purpose, that like, this is just the anti-Sam. Got it, fine. Watching Daniel make his own mistakes, I'm a little more mixed on. I think probably for kind of the inverse reason why I'm enjoying watching Johnny get slightly better. I'm not enjoying watching Daniel mess up in ways that he didn't seem to be messing up his life prior to the start of this franchise. And again, it's not that any of it's unrealistic or I don't buy it. I just don't necessarily enjoy seeing it as he lets parts of his business lapse, as he lets the strain hit his marriage. I'm not particularly caring for that. And he's also a very snap judge. Like, look, the moms are the ones who understand what the heck's going on, in terms of dealing with people. Whether it be Sam's mom, Daniel's wife, or whether it be Miguel's mom. So these are the people who understand what the heck's going on. So, and I do appreciate that they clearly know how stupid most of these other characters are being. There are a couple characters that at this point I actively despise and I want gone. I want gone from this series because I hate them. Number 1, Dimitri. Oh my God, I hate him so much. And I hate him for the exact same reason that I hate The Big Bang Theory. I hate this weaselly, whiny, uber stereotypical nerd like, oh, look, he referenced Game of Thrones. What a dork. Screw you. Screw you with this horrible, outdated, malicious, sad depiction of anyone who likes Star Wars or watches Doctor... Screw you. And you know what? Maybe part of it's personal because I am a geek and I make my living friggin' doing geeky stuff, but it's just tired. It's the same crap that I've been seeing for nerds since the 80s. And unlike some of the other 80s carryover elements that I've been able to deal with, that one wasn't part of this franchise before, so I don't want to see it introduced. Every time he started speaking, Liz can attest to this, I would shout at the screen, Dimitri, shut up. I hate him so much. Although there is one other character that I hate slightly more, and that's Raymond. I'm not calling him Stingray. I hate this character because he's clearly introduced to be comic relief. And if you find him funny, then I envy you. Because I did not find him funny from the very first instance he was introduced. And then when he showed up at the dojo to start training lessons, I'm like, oh God, I hate this guy. Because he's not funny. And he serves, so far, 0 narrative or even character interaction purpose. He contributes nothing except the humor. So if the humor falls flat for you, which it does for me, that means he contributes negative. He brings nothing to the table besides horrible jokes about what a loser who's in his, I'm gonna guess, 30s, hanging out with teenagers and who lives with his mom. Again, really trite and lame way to do a loser character. Very, very, very lazy. And I don't find the performance endearing. I find nothing endearing about him. And honestly, by the end of the second season, he's freaking creepy. That he just shows up at a teenager's party and is played for laughs as opposed to people going, that's a freaking creep. Can we find a way to get him out of here? Because this is creepy as hell. The two of them, both of them, go away. And the only reason I say that I hate Raymond slightly more is Dimitri has occasionally character interactions where I can say he is contributing something to other characters or to the story arc as a whole. Raymond contributes nothing. I want them both gone. Please. That having gotten off my chest, the climactic fight scene at the school, it was funny watching it with Liz because she is a teacher. So she kind of got taken out of that fight very quickly going, there is no way that this would be allowed to happen or go on for as long as it does. And the show tries to address that by having a teacher try and get in on it, but get tossed around and then back off. And but nobody else tries. But, she's worked in education too long. She's just like, nope. Nope, that's a big world of nope to this whole thing. That having been said, that was an impressive fight, especially when it starts in the hallway with the lockers. How long and continuous that shot was, just going from these two fighting to these two fighting to these two, unbroken shot. That was impressive. That was pretty cool. I could nitpick the specifics of the martial arts, but it's the same way that I could nitpick basically anything with movie fight choreography. The shorthand being you can always tell which punches are going to be blocked because they swing wide, they do roundhouse so that it's easier for the other person to block. Whereas anyone with actual proper martial arts training would never throw a punch like this because you see it coming and it's too easy to block. You always go straight. That is much harder to deal with. But of course, they only have them punch straight when they're actually supposed to hit. When it's supposed to be blocked, they do these wide swings that anyone who actually knows what they're doing wouldn't do. But that's my sort of burden of knowledge having a background in martial arts. So, and that's the kind of thing that I find myself nitpicking virtually any fight where supposedly people are trained in these ways and I see the big roundhouse swinging punches. It bugs me in the same way as like when I see sword fight, and I don't have sword training, but when I see sword fights and I see them swing the swords in such a way that they're clearly designed just to clang in midair, and like the other person could have not put their sword in the way and it just would have whiffed in the air, like that was never going to hit you. The only reason that's there is so we can get the clang sound in the air. Like I get nitpicky about fight scenes in that way. But accepting the limitations of doing this kind of choreography safely, because the reason they do the big swinging roundhouse punches in fight choreography for shows like this is because it is harder to block direct punches. So it is safer to have those in the fight choreography. So like, I know I can't actually complain that much, but it's just one of those things that like, but the fight was impressive. That was pretty well done. And I've now seen the trailer for season 3. I had avoided it because I hadn't seen the end of season 2 yet, and I didn't want to risk spoilers. I find it interesting that I didn't see Robbie anywhere in the trailer for season 3, so I really wonder what the heck's going on with him. Because we know Miguel is busted up, like bad, really, really bad. And we get a lot of glimpses. Okay, I'm just going to touch on this real quick. I'm spilling over into stuff we know is coming in season 3, but I can't help it. I love that we get glimpses of Kumiko and I forget the guy's name, but the jackass, the villain from The Karate Kid Part 2. I am going to be really curious to see how they get used. Because I think The Karate Kid Part 2 is a severely underappreciated movie. I think it's, and I rewatched it recently. Actually, Liz and I watched it together after finishing season 2 of Cobra Kai, because when we saw that trailer, I was like, oh, these characters, she's like, I don't know them. Okay, we're going to watch Karate Kid Part 2 now. And that movie is a very good escalation in terms of the stakes. Like I said, going from a tournament scenario to a fight with possible life or death stakes in it. And also focusing more on Miyagi, moving them into Okinawa, dealing with his history, his background, what he left, what he fled in a way when he left Okinawa. It's all really well done, if I'm being honest. I am hoping if there are more seasons after season 3 of Cobra Kai that they don't start pulling from Karate Kid Part 3, because I don't want to have to rewatch Karate Kid Part 3 to catch those. I really don't. That said, even though I haven't seen it and I don't intend to, it would be very amusing to me if Hilary Swank showed up. For folks who didn't know, she was in the 4th one, The Next Karate Kid. Oh, that would be very cool. Backtracking a little bit, a funny thing, and actually Liz piped in on this thought, and I think she's right. Watching the second Karate Kid, the moments that were the best for me, rewatching that, were pretty much all centered around Miyagi. And she said to me, I think you're missing him in Cobra Kai. And I think she's right. Now, that said, obviously Pat Morita has passed away, and the show was right to not try and have a substitute Miyagi, any kind of direct replacement for him. That would have been a horrible mistake. But as someone who loves the original 2 Karate Kid movies, I am feeling his absence. And that is something that I'm missing. But I'm still finding a lot to like and to enjoy. I'm having to overlook stuff like a couple of characters I can't stand. And there are a lot of very standard ways to up the drama. You know, these two people, share a kiss, but it doesn't mean anything. But this person's significant other finds out before this one has a chance to explain. And the usual contrivances of misunderstandings and half information that would all go away if people would just friggin' talk to each other. And instead of being like, oh, I don't know if I should, talk to each other like human beings. And again, it's standard for the kind of genre this is going for. And in addition to the fact, most of the people who are being the biggest idiots in that realm are teenagers. Teenagers can be stupid like that. I get it. I just don't like it. But that's something that at this point I basically accept going into this. I also really liked. I'm jumping all over the place with this. Yeah, like I often call these rambly reviews. This one's way up there in terms of ramble. But I did really like the episode where Johnny goes and visits his friend who is dying of cancer, and that they brought back the actors who were his friends in the first movie. That was really nice and really sweet and really touching, and you could see the impact on Johnny as a character, not just in that episode, but in the episodes that followed. That was really well done. I am kind of hoping going into season 3 that they're going to dial down the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel. It looks like that's where they're going. They have started to come to terms with each other, although even after the dinner together, they still end up throwing punches at each other, of course. But they seem to be headed in that direction where we can zero in on someone like Kreese as the problem, or possibly the character, the villain from Karate Kid Part 2 showing up. That might be part of it, and we see little bits of them. They seem to be trying to work together in Season 3, which is good, because trying to keep reigniting that rivalry, that wouldn't keep working. So I'm excited to see things go in that direction. I don't know how quickly I'm going to get through Season 3 once it's out, because it is something I'm watching with Liz, so I'm not just going to burn through and binge it as soon as it's out, but once I have seen it, I will give my thoughts on it. Cobra Kai, Season 2, you've seen it, what'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments, let's talk about it. I have a Patreon that is what pays my bills and enables me to keep doing this. Even if you're not able to assist me that way, like, share, subscribe, they all help me out, but don't feel too much pressure to do any of it, because we take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break.